Hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez and NFL Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson. Let's start in Philadelphia, where the Eagles took control of the NFC East with a big win over Washington. Carson Wentz was spectacular again last night, leading Philly to the best record in the NFL at 6-1. But the Eagles also lost All-Pro offensive lineman Jason Peters and starting linebacker Jordan Hicks for the year. Cowherd, should Philly be Super Bowl favorites?
No, because I think New England, Seattle, and Pittsburgh have pedigree. They all have coaches and quarterbacks who have been to the Super Bowl. And this was the classic. I mean, I thought Philly looked great, and I think they're really good. But when you play a standalone game on a Thursday or a Monday and everybody in the league's watching it, I can remember Michael Vick having a great Monday Night Football game, and literally the next day on the radio, if you didn't think he was the best quarterback in the league, you were an idiot.
That's how it goes.
It was a standalone game. They look really good. It's a rivalry game. But when it comes to playoffs, I'm into coach, quarterback, pedigree, history. They're just a really good football team.
Well, if you remove the injuries, if Jason Peters is still healthy, if Jordan Hicks is still healthy, I would say they've earned the right to be considered the favorite. They've been dominant, and on both sides of the ball, they've shown strength, stopping the run, getting to the quarterback with Fletcher Cox and that defensive line. Malcolm, the secondary playing relatively well, particularly at the safety position. Then Carson Wentz is looking like the young future of the NFL, but when you add in those two injuries, when you lose your left tackle, you lose your starting linebacker like that, I can't call them the favorites. The favorites are in the AFC.
I agree with you. I agree with both of you. I mean, I do. When you lose a left tackle, and I always say this, they pay these left tackles this big money for a reason, and they pay them a lot of money. You lose your starting linebacker. You know, that changed the dynamics of your football team. I'll just go to the Rams. Let's use bringing in Whitworth, bringing in John Sullivan, just two new offensive linemen. It changed that football team. Losing one changed the dynamics of that football team. The Kansas City Chiefs, a couple of weeks ago, they're 5-0. Oh, they're going to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. Now, they've kind of cooled off on them. So, you know, it's kind of early to talk about Super Bowls, but I think they're one of the best teams in the NFC East for sure.
Yeah, well, the NFL stock exchange, I call that. You're going up and going down 1 week. You never know week to week. But I agree with you. I think you said that about the pedigree. You said that. Where you look at teams that have been there, done that, you look at the experience of the coaches, and these young teams like the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles, they have not done it yet. And so you're talking about a Super Bowl. A Super Bowl. I love Carson Wentz. I think he's the next elite quarterback in this league. I have no doubt about that, but still, I need to see it week in and week out, and he's been showing that so far, and I think he's on his way. But look, to win a Super Bowl, you better have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Who has that in the league right now? You look at the guys who have won over the last 15 years. It's either a legendary defense or a Hall of Fame quarterback. Do they have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Philly right now? He's on his way, but it's way too early to say.
Do we know when Doug Peterson got this job, there were a lot of people that said he didn't even call the plays with Andy Reid. So this kind of feels not like Indianapolis because they had better players. But is Carson Wentz making Nelson Aguilar look elite? He got benched.
But he got drafted really high. He was supposed to be a player, and now he looks
Look at
like
his wide receiving crew. Would the Rams want it? Would the Steelers want it? Would the Patriots want it?
Oh, I like their tight end, Ertz.
What about their running backs?
Blunt. I like LeGarrette.
There's a lot of okay.
Listen, I'm going to play the other side of the argument now. They're in the NFC. They're in the right division because the key to winning the Super Bowl is getting there. There is no great team in the NFC right now. The Rams, to me, potentially could be great, but it's way too early. You look at Seattle. They have a flawed offense. The Falcons are falling apart.
Aaron Rodgers
Packers lost. And so getting to the Super Bowl is key to winning it. You can go to the AFC. You got the Patriots, Steelers, and the Chiefs. Those are three, I think, teams we all think are pretty good. They're going to knock each other out. So maybe there is an argument for favoring Philadelphia because who has the best shot at getting to the Super Bowl? I think it's a team out of the NFC.
It's a team that gets hot at the right time. That's what it comes down to. I think when you look back at the Rams, when they won the Super Bowl in 2000, they were 4-12 the year before. Now, who'd have thunk it? Rams, you say, I bet you the Rams go to the Super Bowl. They'd be like, I'll take that bet every day. If you got the right guy at the quarterback position, just like you said. Now, Kurt Warner, who'd have think that Kurt Warner's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback? He played in arena football. You know, he packing groceries, and now all of a sudden he's starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. St. Louis Rams at that time, and they go to the Super Bowl. So it depends on who gets hot at the right time. And another thing, injuries. Injuries is a big part of football. You know that.
Absolutely. Like I said, though, I'm a big believer it's your quarterback. Just look at the history. That's all you got to do is look at the quarterback. That's the guy that's going to take you to where you want to go. Right now, he's looking like it. So, yeah, I have no problem saying I could see him in the Super Bowl.
All right, well, the Eagles had a lot to celebrate last night, even gave us a kind of a reboot of their post-touchdown baseball game from a few weeks ago. But that wasn't the most elaborate celebration this week. That honor goes to the Steelers, who played hide-and-seek during their win over the Bengals. Pittsburgh receiver Juju Smith-Schuster expressed his gratitude, tweeting, quote, "I just want to thank the NFL for letting us have lit celebrations." All right, Whitlock, are you ready to admit the new celebrations are good for the National Football League?
It was awesome. I mean, that's all me and my friends talked about was the celebration. It was just tremendous. And I just want to thank the NFL, too. I agree with Juju. Thank you so much for letting me say it. I don't want to sound like I'm random, but it's nothing. And these players are so caught up in everything except the competition. It's the celebrations. It's the protests. It's my freedom of speech. It's my individuality. It's about winning games. People tune in for the competition, and I hate it when we lose sight of that. I remember Jim Nantz and Tony Romo did their best during that Pittsburgh thing, trying to sell it, and trying to sound hip and cool and fun. I was just like, hey, man, just talk about how they scored the touchdown. Don't even pay attention.
Celebrations to me are Instagram. Celebrations are like Instagram. You really can have a life without it. I drive home every day. I've never been on Instagram. I'm really happy. Can't wait to see my family. But young people grab their phone, live through it. They can't believe they're empowered by it. So I think some young players just think it's the greatest thing. But you know what the league needs? Aaron Rodgers, J.J. Watt, and OBJ back. That's what the league. I want that. The dinged up guys who I would pay to see, I want them back. The celebrations don't do it. Do I sound like an old crusty guy?
Well, I'll say this. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big celebrator. I never celebrated.
You didn't?
Never. I never had a celebration. But, because in the old school, you get shots taken at you. I mean, I don't know in your time, Tony, you're younger than me, but let me tell you, you had a celebration? Oh, dog, we're going to get you. We're going to get you. We're going to get you for that. And now it's not about that. It's like, okay, if we score, we got to come up with something too. We got to sit here and think about it. Like you say, it's about who won the game. Who had the great catch, who had the great run. That's all I want to see. I don't want to see no celebration. But I'm old school, so
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys are out of touch. You're out of touch. You've lost it. Come on now. This is it. This is society right here. This is it.
Did you have a celebration?
Yes, I dunked it over the goal.
Oh, that ain't no celebration.
Bring it back. Bring back that. That's what I want now. Bring back the Concord. Bring back all that stuff. I love it. I think it's great for the game. The younger generation loves this stuff. I have a 16-year-old who plays high school football. What do you think they're doing? They're doing that dance and I don't even know how to do that. This is what they're into now. This makes for a great show after a touchdown celebration. But I want to take it here real quick. All these guys out there, you talk about a platform, all this standing up, the ovation, and all this stuff. What about that time that you get after you score that touchdown? Why can't they do some type of structured protest during that time? If it's really on your heart and on your minds, you're choreographing it during the week. If whoever gets a touchdown on defense, we get that interception, Michael Bennett and Seattle Seahawks, go do that then. Go do all your protesting then. Go do all that stuff. I don't mean to take it there, but I'm just wondering.
Hey, why don't you
if you're going to Those are two different groups.
Why don't you do the Soul Train dance? Do the Soul Train line. The Soul Train line. Do the Soul Train line.
I'm going to say this. I'm sitting here thinking back when I was a kid. I love Billy White Shoes Johnson.
So I was thinking the same thing.
I love Billy White Shoes Johnson. I love the Icky Shuffle. I have to admit, the Icky Woods and the Cincinnati Bengals, and so maybe I am just being an old fart, but I just want to more focus on the actual competition. I want the games to matter to the players as much as it does to the fans, and they just seem focused on other things.
Well, and I also think, I will give the NFL credit on this. I think this was a reaction to the NBA. I think they look at, Trump and the ratings and Kaepernick, and the NBA is like, we're losing millennial viewers. NFL.
Yeah.
And they're like, who's gaining millennial viewers? NBA. And the NBA does seem more player-friendly, celebration-heavy, a little more joyful. And I think the NFL felt like, listen, we don't want to be this all-powerful league that won't let players express themselves. I think the owners are dealing the same thing in those meetings about political expression.
Well, here's where I think you're 100% right. Football, a lot of the narrative is a downer. It's CTE. It's, oh, we're out here getting hurt and we're risking our life.
Right.
And so part of this celebration thing might be, let's make the game more joyful.
Yes.
And
yes.
more fun and more put a smile on your face.
Yes.
And, you know,
Well, I mean,
screw the old farts like me.
Well,
I kinda agree
Juju
with
Smith-Schuster thanks the league.
Yes.
And so in the end, it's like, hey, players, we're more I think the NBA is sort of changing the NFL. For years, leagues copied the NFL. I think
That's
the
all they
NFL's
should.
looking at the NBA.
That's a mistake.
Did you see the
But-
Soul Train line, though?
I remember the Soul Train.
You remember
I
the
was
Soul
good.
Train line? Better go
That's
down
the
the
one
line.
dance I was good at.
Welcome back. Tony Gonzalez, Eric Dickerson are here. Let's return to Philly. Why not? Carson Wentz did his best Houdini impression, made several spectacular plays under serious pressure. Meanwhile, Kirk Cousins was okay for most of the game. A little bit of a stat patter, but as usual, threw a pick when it mattered most. Whitlock, last night saying more about Wentz or Kirk Cousins?
I think it said more about Carson Wentz in terms of he's the future of the league. If we're looking for the next great quarterback, I think it's Carson Wentz. I remember Eric Mangini all last year made fun of me because I wanted to put a Hall of Fame jacket on Carson Wentz after 3 games, and he kind of fell apart. But this is what I saw coming, a guy that could be the next great quarterback in the NFL, and I think he kind of established that. That's a very good or a solid Washington pass rush and defense he faced last night, put up 4 TDs, evaded some pressure in spectacular fashion. I think it said a lot about Carson Wentz.
And I was going to give you so much credit because I thought you really nailed it yesterday, and I was completely wrong. Last night became what you predicted it would be, is that I sat there and I watched the Honda Civic of the NFL, and a Maserati pulled up next to it named Carson Wentz. And I was like, I've driven a Honda Civic, but man, you look small and slow. I sat there and I watched it, and I thought, if I'm a GM or an owner, like 0 for 6 on Monday Night Football, and you can argue about Carson Wentz, but when you saw him about Kirk Cousins, but when you saw Cousins next to Wentz, he looked small, unathletic, pedestrian. He looked like generic vanilla ice cream.
You know, my nickname in Kansas City was Flip-Lock because I flipped from position to position. I saw some things from Kirk Cousins that reminded me again of what I saw when he played the Kansas City Chiefs. He's not surrounded by the best supporting cast.
By the way, he had Sean McVay. He had Kyle Shanahan. He's got Jay Gruden.
They don't put on helmets.
Okay. It seems to me that Kirk Cousins has had really good offensive coaches.
Helmets.
Jordan Reed,
helmets,
Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon. Now they're all peeling off to better gigs. I look at him now, I'm like, he ain't throwing for 5,000 yards anymore.
Well, I'm with you. It said more about Carson Wentz. In that game, he had 4 drives over 75 yards. That says a lot right there. Now, I know this is going to sound crazy, but from the time Kirk Cousins came on the scene, I'm like, that name just don't do it for me. His name, it's all about a name. Like, I think about Joe Montana. I think about Tom Brady. Them names sound cool. Warren Moon. And I say, Kirk Cousins. I'm like, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm like,
you don't like that?
I just don't like the name. The name just don't like pow, you know,
What
like.
about the game? You like his game?
It's like this. It's like this. It's something he's hiding. Like I say, and it goes along with the name. That name, it's just the name.
He looked
I know
flat.
it sounds crazy, but it's the name.
Didn't you think he looked just meh?
But look at, I mean, Carson Wentz is 6'5", 240.
How's Tony Gonzalez for a tight end?
Gonzalez. I mean, it's Gonzalez.
Black guy. Anyways, but Kirk Cousins, he's a good quarterback, and we knew that going in. You answered that yesterday. You said, yeah, he'll throw decent numbers, he'll throw a pick whenever the game's on the line, and exactly came true. We knew that going into it. I think Carson Wentz, my favorite player in the NBA of all time, I think the best player of all time is Magic Johnson.
Yes.
The reason I like Magic Johnson over everybody else is because he made everybody around him so much better, so much better. And this is what I see from him. Now, is he Magic Johnson? Like I said, I'm going to pump the brakes. Well, let's see him do it over 3 or 4 years, let alone 5, 6 games of the first of the season.
You're talking Carson Wentz.
I'm talking Carson Wentz right now. I think this guy, what he does with the players around him, it's what Tom Brady does. It's what Drew Brees does. It's what Aaron Rodgers does.
List them names.
The elite quarterbacks with the great names,
list them names.
they get everybody around them better. They make Nelson Aguilar look better. They make Ertz is having his best season ever now because he's got this player. Philadelphia Eagles, they better be happy because they found themselves a franchise
There was a
quarterback.
moment last night. As great as Derek Jeter was, it's that flip against the A's that is that iconic moment. As good as Michael Jordan is, there's that shot against Cleveland, the one where his tongue is out. There was a play last night with Wentz that will be, Brady couldn't make it. Peyton Manning couldn't make. When he did the Houdini move, I thought to myself, I've never seen anything like that. Marino couldn't make that play. I mean, to
Steve
me,
Young,
and when I saw that play and I thought of Kirk Cousins, I'm like, Kirk Cousins is what pro athletes call a jag, just a guy.
He's a good quarterback.
He's just a guy.
That's all he is, though. He's a good
I
quarterback.
tend to agree with you, but I see what Kyle Shanahan sees in Kirk Cousins.
What?
I wouldn't do it. Again, a guy, if you put the right pieces around.
Stability.
Yeah, the right pieces around. He could be what Trent Green was in Kansas City. Let a high-powered offense. If you got the Priest Holmes, you got Brian Waters and Willie Rofe and Will Shields up. If you have all the pieces around him, Kirk Cousins can be a Pro Bowl level quarterback. But again, is he what Carson Wentz is? Is he a guy that carries the team to a Super Bowl?
No way.
Is he a guy that I would give a $100 million contract to? Hell no.
Oh,
All right, welcome back. Jason McIntyre is here. We're joined now by Fox NBA analyst. We call him our guru, Chris Broussard. Let's move to the association where Lonzo Ball has rebounded after a disappointing debut. I've watched every second of him. He's got a target in his back thanks to his outspoken father, LeVar. LeVar guaranteed the Lakers would beat the Wizards this week, and now Wizards center Marcin Gortat has responded saying John Wall's teammate will, quote, torture Lonzo when they meet tomorrow. Whitlock, you have an issue with NBA players targeting Lonzo because of his pops LeVar.
I hate to say this because I'm going to sound soft, but I think they should cut him some slack.
Man, you sound
You
sound soft.
Yeah, I know. LeVar shouldn't be so strongly connected to his dad. If I would cut him some slack. I would be like, LeVar's outside of Lonzo's control. I'm gonna let that go. I feel bad. I feel bad for the kid that there's this target on his back over his dad.
This is what happened to Tebow. You know how frats have initiation week? Pro sports have initiation years. It's called your rookie year. They go out. Manziel was too cocky. Tebow was too popular. Reggie Bush was too flashy. This is how pro sports works.
The players always look for extra motivation. What did Michael Jordan used to do? Remember LeBradford Smith? He scored 37 on Jordan one night, and Jordan made up this story that he mocked me. Hey, nice game, Mike. Jordan came out, scored 36 on him in the first half the next game. And then he told people, you know what, I made that story up for some extra motivation. So they're always looking for a reason to get even more amped up to go at you. I'm going to say this. I think unwittingly, LeVar has done Lonzo a favor because guys are going at him so hard that it's going to make him better. You look at what happened the first game. First game, Patrick Beverly goes at him hard, embarrasses him. Lonzo learns from it. The only way you get better is to play against better people. Lonzo learns from it. He gets more aggressive. Instead of taking 6 shots, he takes 27.
He got aggressive against the worst team in the league.
Hey,
falling apart,
it's an NBA team, my man.
I can't believe
it's an NBA team.
I can't believe I'm going after LeVar. I mean, seriously, this is LeVar. LeVar's the problem. He created this. You know, it would go away if he shuts up. If LeVar Ball shut up for 2 weeks, would this all go away?
Though?
Well, it's ruining Lonzo.
Really?
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
He's almost
for him.
averaging a triple-double.
Now, the positives are the Lakers have the 5th most TV games in the league. The spotlight's on Lonzo. However, do you want John Wall coming in saying, I'm going to destroy you? I am going to torture this guy? That's what John Wall's thinking. And guess what? Kyle Lowry's thinking that the next game. And hell, Matthew Dellavedova of the Bucks, even guys on that level are going to get in Lonzo's head. He's a target right now. That's what I feel bad for the kid.
Coaches used to tell me with Earl Boykins. Remember Earl Boykins, 5'5"? That if a point guard said, I'm going to post him all night, the team wanted that because that gets you out of your strategy. That's not usually what you do. So if John Wall's like, I'm going to put 45 on this kid, that might not be the best thing for the Wizards.
Good point.
Because it gets him out of playing his game as a real point guard and getting other guys involved.
Why can't LeVar just let his son's game speak for itself? But honestly, why can't he just do that? Man, my kid's put up a near triple-double. I'll back off.
That's his person.
He's obsessed.
But, hasn't the knock on, LeVar has lived kind of a suburban life. It's not, Lonzo, right? Right. The knock on him has been he's a little physically soft. To Chris's point, it's almost like a quarter.
Iron sharpens iron.
I mean, I think there's something to be said. He is going to be, let me tell you something. With pro athletes, humiliate him, they rebound. They work hard. He's going to be humiliated.
If he's got it in him, which we think he does, then he's going to respond positively.
I just wouldn't, if I'm Lonzo, I'm just not comfortable with the discussion about his father. And I know his father has done this. He's made himself a discussion point among media and fans and players. I get that. LeVar did that. He wants that. I just don't think it's good overall or best for Lonzo. I wouldn't be happy, and his personality doesn't seem to be anything like his dad's. I wouldn't be happy with my father just being a talking point constantly.
But if that's true, he didn't have to be on that reality show.
Yeah.
He signed for it. I think he likes his dad. I mean,
I
think he really connects with his dad.
But at what point, Colin, does he say, okay, Dad, that's enough? He's turning 20 years old here in a couple days. Like, he's a pro now. Dad, you got me here. Can you cut the cord a little bit and just let me stand on my own? Why isn't he doing that?
He may
Go
never
focus
do,
on your other brother.
He may not do that. I think, though, growing up with his dad talking all this trash, I think that has created in him something where he won't get psyched out by the big stage because he's always had to live up to his dad running his mouth. And he's been able to do it, so I don't think anything will faze him.
This terrible analogy, but these Hollywood parents and Hollywood relationships with their kids, the ending's generally pretty predictable. It doesn't end well. And these, look, in sports, we've had Richard Williams, and it seemed to have worked with his two daughters, with Serena and Venus, but
is that the only one? I mean, Tiger and Earl Woods.
Those are individual sports.
But sports aren't like movies where you're off for 9 months. The Devil's Playground's idle time. Lonzo's going to be playing for 7 months and training for 4. He'll stay busy. He'll stay out of trouble.
This smells like Joe Jackson to me a little bit.
I'm with Colin, and I think he likes his dad, but it is interesting to watch, to see 3 years from now, 2 years from now, does something come out? Is there a split?
To Cleveland, where Dwayne Wade surprised a lot of people this week, asking Tyronn Lue to let him come off the bench where he, quote, would be more comfortable. Wade isn't the Cavs' only recent addition having some issues. Derrick Rose is now out with a sprained ankle, and Isaiah Thomas hasn't even played yet. Cowherd, should the Cavaliers already be concerned about their offseason move?
No, I think it's all baked in. This is why Donald Trump can say something crazy and the stock market doesn't go down. Because the stock market has come to terms with Donald Trump. It's built in. He says stuff on a weekly basis that's a little loony. He uses Twitter like no other president, and the Wall Street has said, all right, we're just building this in. We're not going to overreact to Trump. It's the same way with this Cavs roster. It's baked in. LeBron knows guys are going to get hurt. The front office knows they're going to get hurt.
And they knew Dwayne was going to shoot 28%. They knew that. That was baked in.
I think these issues are, we're old, it's going to be bumpy, we're going to have injuries, we're going to win 50 and rest guys. I think it's baked.
And we knew J.R. Smith would whine like a baby about coming off the bench. We knew that. That was baked in. 6 points a game from a Hall of Fame player. Baked in.
So they should be worried?
Look, worried is a little, but yeah, like, hey, D-Wade, he is 34, and I love Dwayne Wade, but 28% shooting, and J.R. Smith whining, and you don't know what's going on with Isaiah Thomas, and guess what? Derrick Rose is hurt again. What a surprise. Yeah, I'd be a little concerned.
Here's the thing, though. Dwayne Wade can shoot 28%. He can shoot 5%, or he can retire tomorrow. The Cavs are still winning the East. That's the fact. It's such a bad. They're in the CYO. I'm done saying JV. I'm done saying the JV. It's the CYO now, all right? They have 82 games to figure it out. It's a chemistry experiment because all these Derrick Rose and Dwayne Wade play the same way. They're injury prone. They have all this time to figure it out, and they will. And LeBron loves drama. If there's not drama, he's going to create it. And I think they'll be fine.
Chris.
Boston's winning the East? Are you still on that?
You gotta see the forest through the trees. Hey, they're gonna get to the finals and get smoked by the Warriors again. What's the big picture? LeBron, what is he doing in the offseason? He gonna leave, Chris. He's looking at this terrible roster, old people, and say, man, I gotta carry the load for another 75 games because I can't take games off. The league doesn't want me to. So what's LeBron gonna do? Stew? Man, they had all summer, Whitlock, to put a team around me. They got these old guys, injured guys. What am I going to do? I'm out of here. That's what LeBron's thinking. Not this season. Big picture, Chris.
Well, but remember, Crowder, Tristan, Love, I would agree if LeBron was a guard, because this is an old, I mean, Corver can't guard anybody. Wade's old. Rose is hurt. I think they have front court depth, and I think LeBron looks at this, to your point, and he just says, when Gordon Hayward got hurt, they just took a big, deep breath. And they're like, this is an 80-game experiment.
Washington's got nothing.
This is
come on. Washington's not.
So? You think that?
I'm asking the question.
No. John Wall went 0 for 11 in Game 7 fourth. You think he's going to close the series?
Stop.
I'm just telling
Colin,
you.
you just said, Whitlock,
they brought back the same team. They went with stability.
Really? That
wasn't a very good team. They gave Otto Porter the max.
Wait, you're talking about this being a front court team in Cleveland? This is a guard league. All the point guards lead the league in scoring. Front court doesn't mean anything. Cavs are in trouble. You can say they're going to the finals. That's trouble. Fine. Big picture, long term, that team's in trouble.
They still had the #1 pick from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Brooklyn looks decent. They look better than my Knicks, okay?
They still could be that's.
Listen,
Tony
haven't
Gonzalez
we been arguing about this for about 7 years? This has been our argument for 7 years. Whew. Cavs regular season. Are you worried? You go first. It's the same story. We know LeBron's getting to the finals.
Okay, getting to the finals, and we know he has no chance when he gets there. How does LeBron feel about that? And seriously.
Well, that's a topic on this show in 6 months. But I think until then, these Wade, Rose injuries, man, the East is bad. It was bad with Gordon Hayward and Boston being viable. It's not even competitive. Seriously, if you put the Denver Nuggets in the East, would they vie for third? They'd be a tough out.
When is LeBron worried about the East? This guy's trying to compete with Michael Jordan for all time.
No, I agree.
You're talking about the East.
I'll give you that. I mean, because you look at this team, and look, when they get Isaiah back, we think it should be January. Yeah. Once they get everybody acclimated, I agree. Golden State's going to be the big favorite in the finals. But if you want to say these guys aren't panning out to where they can give them the depth that we thought they had, okay, I'll give you that.
5'8" point guard. I can't wait for him to get back.
He was 5th in MVP voting last year.
Listen, if just say
I thought point guards were what it's all about.
But not him.
Say that.
But
if I said to you Isaiah Thomas, LeBron James, Kevin Love, Jay Crowder, and then JR, Wade, Rose, it's a real team. Yeah. I think don't jump off the cliff. That's a real team.
That can do what against Golden State?
The one thing they do better is defend. Last year, remember, they were horrible defensively. You have to stop Golden State. You're not going to outscore them. You have to stop them, and they're better created to do that this year.